The Wine Crush.
Welcome back to The Wine Crush. I'm Laura Lawson, your favorite Chardonnay sipping diva, and we're continuing along our trek to prove to you there are a lot of cool wine jobs out there that you don't necessarily have to be overqualified for, of course, like me. To continue on this endeavor, we have an interesting guest. We have Miss Libby Volges. She is one of the founding members of a group called the Swirl Girls, and to quote themselves, they say, "We don't know everything about wine. Actually, many days it feels like we know very little, but we're enthusiastic about learning and trying, and that's all we can hope for from anybody." So right now, Libby, welcome to The Wine Crush.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for taking time to call in today. We are talking about neat jobs in the wine business, and you girls have certainly found your niche. Tell us a little bit about the Swirl Girls.
Well, we started about a month ago because there are 4 of us on staff at the newspaper, the Palm Beach Post, who love wine. So we decided we wanted to blog about it, and we picked a few nicknames for ourselves, and we got it off the ground about a month ago and are very enthusiastic about the possibilities that, we can do with it. And we want to connect with the community. We want to hear what people are drinking and what they're liking and what they don't like, and use it as a way to learn together.
I think that's a great opportunity. I think a lot of times, especially I know if I got 4 of my girlfriends together, 2 things would come about. 1, 2 of us would argue incessantly about who was right and who was wrong. But secondly, we'd be popping so many corks and swirling so many glasses, we'd never get anything written or done. How do y'all manage it?
We think it's a balance because we're all journalists by trade. We know the importance of writing, but the writing doesn't usually happen that night. So we try and go out and have fun and enjoy the wines and enjoy the companionship of each other. And then about, a day or 2 later, we'll get out our notes and try and decipher what we wrote about them and put something together from there.
How's that work for you? Usually I wind up spilling Chardonnay or Grey Goose on mine before it's over with and they all blend together.
We find that the notes are a lot better in the beginning of the evening. We can write really good reviews about the first wines we tried, but towards the end, we tend to write things like tasted good or liked it, and from there, that gets a little tough.
Well, see, you're kinder. When we go on trips abroad and we're actually going to different restaurants and different wineries to taste wines, we deteriorate to smiley faces and stars. So I definitely can relate to that. But,
I'll keep that in mind.
But, wait till you get the ugly ones with the little death eyes. It's really cute. But looking at what you're doing and how it relates to what we're talking about on the Crush today, people often ask, how do you get in the wine business? And anybody can be in the wine business at any given time. Libby, did any of y'all have a strong wine background, or did any of y'all come from the beverage business?
Aside from a great love of drinking, no.
And see, that's why you're the perfect example of what we're talking about. Anybody who has an opinion and a corkscrew can get involved in the wine business. And something lovable and great about wine, it inspires conversation. And like you said, it's companionship. And everybody can bond over a bottle. There's no way they can't.
I can't imagine having wine without having friends or acquaintances or people nearby with me. And for me, it is something that can make a night wonderful, and it can make friendships deeper, and it has such a memorable effect. And that's what I love about it. I love how it brings people together.
I think it's interesting, and one of the reasons I really wanted you on our show, for our listeners, you need to check out pbpulse.com, and you can check out the Swirl Girls. But almost instantly, they gained a connection to the community, and it's been interesting to watch people respond to you and what you're doing. How have you seen that impactful, and what have you learned from that?
I've learned that there's all sorts of wine lovers out there. There are people who responded saying that they like this sort of wine that, is the lower quality or lower end, and there are people who responded back and said, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe you drink that. I would only go for this." And I think that is what is great about it, is that you have people coming from all walks of life who are interested in it and, interested in all different types of wine. So that's been really fun. And honestly, it's been so much fun to get to know people who are in the wine community, not just as a consumer. We've been doing some interviews with sommeliers, and that has been a great experience. They know so much, and they're anxious to teach.
Hey, sommeliers are almost always anxious to talk. I promise you that.
We found that to be true as well.
Fair enough. When you're looking at what y'all have done, what advice would you give to our would-be wine bloggers out there if they wanted to start something like what you're doing in their own community?
I think you have to figure out what you know and what you want to talk about. We're very, very honest about the fact that we don't come from a wine background. All we know is what we like to drink, and half the time we don't even know exactly what it is we like to drink. So we're starting from the ground up and really trying to explore it together with the community. If you know everything there is about a certain region, maybe that's going to be your specialty. What you know and what you want to talk about, I think, will dictate what kind of blog that you're going to write and who's going to follow it as well. I think you have to find your niche within the wine community.
Do you think there has to be I'm looking at what y'all are talking about, and you have so many great responses from a guy, the wine guy, who's just pompous to someone who's actually asking for advice. I think you've summed it up lovely when you say you don't even know what it is about what you want to drink. Can you not find a common ground with that with your community?
I think if that's the peg you want to go for, I think that's a great peg. That's obviously what we're going for. But we're going for the let's learn together angles, and that's what we can bring to it. So I think figure out what it is you like to talk about as well. Whatever you're passionate about, whatever you'd like to talk with people about, that's a good starting point. If you want to talk about how you go to tastings and you can't tell a Chardonnay from a Sauvignon Blanc, if they're staring right in front of you, that's something too.
Yes, and apparently if the bottles are there and the labels are there, that means you need to get glasses.
Or you've had too many and are actually at the end of the line.
That's true. That's fair enough, too. Well, I thought this was fascinating. I don't mean to get off on a tangent with you, but on one of your latest posts, you had a woman talk about the fact that her neighbors were coming over, and she was embarrassed because she didn't know whether to pull out her cheap wine or to serve the good stuff. What did y'all finally resolve on all that? We're going to use this question later in the show and have some fun with it.
That woman is actually me, so I'll own up to it now. I didn't know that was such a big issue for people within the wine community. I just knew that I was standing in front of my wine collection feeling a little ungenerous because certain bottles I was kind of hiding behind the others thinking, these are my friends. The bottles were my friends. I didn't want to share them with people. I want to enjoy them, for a really special night. And it wasn't a very flattering moment. I wasn't very proud of how I was feeling at that moment.
Oh, no. You never should feel bad about this because you captured this well. Your bottles are your friends and your friends are your friends. And just like I have a group of friends I wouldn't want to run into each other, there are certain friends that should never meet.
And then I talk to people who actually end up stashing their good bottles of wine in their sock drawer when their friends come over. So I think there's actually a scale and a range of, reactions. And I was talking with someone yesterday about this, and it goes further. It goes, what do you bring when someone invites you to your house? If they don't know anything about wine, do you bring just a cheap bottle of wine and get by with it, or do you try and impress them whether or not they know anything about wine? So that's another question entirely.
It is another question entirely, and it all depends. I think my answer to that would be, what do you want to try? If I've got a bottle and I've sat around and I've looked at it and I don't really know if I like it or not, hey, let's get other people's opinions. Let's poll. Let's see what everyone else says.
That's a great answer. I ended up deciding with kind of a compromise. I pulled a bottle that I knew that I would enjoy drinking, and then I pulled a white that I knew that I probably wouldn't enjoy drinking, but a lot of my friends who don't know a lot about wine, are drawn to whites, and they'll drink whatever's in front of them. And the cool thing about my friends is that they'll come to my events with wine. So, you get them started, and then you just open the bottles they bring.
That's always the way to do it. And that's also a question you'll probably get along the line is people will ask you, if someone brings a bottle of wine, should I open it? If it doesn't have a bow on it, open it. It's just one more bottle y'all all get to try together.
I agree with that.
So there are 4 of you, and I noticed that y'all took different names. You are Sweet, Libby, Bolgies. How does that work? Why did you pick Sweet?
It was a conversation my friend Gwen and I had. We were talking about our taste in wine, and we were laughing about the fact that I liked sweet wine and she liked dry wine, and it really reflected our personalities as well. And so we got going with that, and then when we had the other 2 bloggers, we convinced them to work with us. We said, okay, you've got to come up with names to describe both your personality and your wine taste. And we all did it. We all found names that describe what we'd like to drink as well as our personalities. So it's kind of our inside joke about our nicknames.
Well, I think everyone needs a label. Well, Miss Libby, thank you very much for being part of the Crush. Hopefully we can log in to pvpulse.com and read about your experience on the Crush and put our 2 cents worth in as well.
That's great. Thank you so much.